The fact that matter follows mind implies in principle the ability to control one's physical experience through the power of coherent consciousness. Coherent consciousness is to ordinary consciousness what a laser or coherent light is to ordinary light. This cannot be done at the level of egoic consciousness, of course, but requires a profound integration of the deeper levels of consciousness. Beginning to access these deeper levels first brings forward the unresolved fragments of other space-time experiences, karmic impressions from former lives, and causes them to manifest in our inner life and in our physical world. Eventually, however, these threads are all rewound. When this happens, our physical existence begins to be transparent to choices originating in our deep consciousness, our soul, and in the larger field our soul is part of. To begin to be able to consciously direct our experience in space-time, instead of being unconsciously dragged around by our past, represented a major accomplishment. This step, however, was quickly superseded by yet another realization. To be able to control one's historical existence was a good thing, but to learn that historical existence itself served the function of developing and refining this creative ability. This was a development whose significance radically transcended physical existence. This was what the exercise of space-time was all about. The goal seemed to be about becoming a fully conscious, creative being. These discoveries were not an intellectual exercise, as I have described them here, but rather a series of profound experiential realizations. Regathering energy led to conscious control of my physical existence. My historical existence became transparent to my soul's conscious intent, with fewer complications arising from the shadows cast by pockets of unresolved karma. When I moved into the next level and discovered that the deeper purpose of the exercise was controlled creativity, the most brilliant, diamond-like light broke forth from my chest. I now understand why it is called diamond consciousness. Truly, our experience of physical light is but a metaphor for the intensity and brilliance of this energy. It had the characteristics of brilliant light, of sparkling luminosity, but also perfectly aligned density. It was not hollow as light is, but extremely dense, yet at the same time perfectly transparent. It was perfectly focused power, capable of anything. I suddenly knew that all my experiences in space-time served in the cultivation of this diamond energy. This is what I was here for, what we were all here for, to learn how to consciously control this. This was the power that could create universes. In 1 second, my entire existence was redefined. Let me backtrack to another layer of the experience. As I was re-assimilating my life and ascending through various levels, I was also entering into intimate dialogue with a presence that addressed me. It communed with me and spoke to me in messages that were only sometimes put into words. It was explaining to me what I was experiencing not so much with words as with direct illumination. When I reached the point of diamond luminosity, I was lifted beyond the dream of physical existence, beyond the bardo echoes of physical existence altogether. It felt like I had re-assimilated all my experiences in space-time, that I had brought back into one all my experiences of duality, including the experiences of being both male and female. From this point, which carried the flavor of both before and after physical existence, the presence illumined for me the human project. With the deepest, most tender words of a divine parent, it said, "Go and create, my children." It was setting us loose in a cosmos that contained many realms. The one I had just re-emerged from was only one among many universes. some of which were physical while others were not. We were small aspects of this being, truly its children, of the same type, only smaller in size and capacity. Having just returned from a sojourn of countless years in space-time, I knew that our creative capacity was enormous. I knew, too, that our capacity for creating destruction and pain was also enormous, and yet this being was setting us free, placing absolutely no limits on our creative abilities. Our absolute freedom seemed as precious to it as our creative ability. No limit was placed on our learning. Go and create, my children. How generous and terrible the conditions. How immeasurable the wisdom behind the exercise. I was different from my surrounding environment, and the difference was the light that was shining forth from me. It was what I now was, a defined speck of infinitely dense, infinitely transparent diamond luminosity. This is what I had entered space-time to actualize. This is why we are all here. I could feel many universes around me to explore and grow in. I felt the truth of the ancient mandalas that depict multiple universes all overseen by a cadre of divinities, each focused in a different project. These two were about expanding and refining one's potential, about becoming more through the disciplined exercise of awareness. The opportunities were infinite. Go and create, my children. I felt myself returning to a condition of undivided wholeness within myself, regathering aspects that seemed to derive from some of these other realms. I rose through level after level until I felt myself to be alone with the source of my existence, suspended between worlds. The warmth of this reunion soaked me to the bone. The peace cannot be described. There is nothing more that I can say at this point, except to note that the experience was both personal and collective. It felt like some enormous ball of intertwined threads that did not begin or end in my private life was dissolving into this light. The threads that were originally twisted into this form that I am derived in large measure from the collective, and therefore as this tangled knot dissolved into the light, the luminosity flowed into the field of the species mind, spreading itself deep into the fiber of the collective unconscious.